Welcome back. The Botham Jean Family Foundation partnered with the CEL and Rise St. Lucia to provide electronic devices to less fortunate students. The online learning journey will be a lot easier for 97 students upon receipt of the electronic devices.
The Botham Jean Foundation on Monday donated 24 devices to Rise St. Lucia to assist with providing as many less fortunate students around the island with an electronic device for online learning. The mother of Botham Jean and director of the Botham Jean Foundation, Alison Jean, says the family and foundation is simply trying to continue with Botham's legacy as he was very passionate about assisting the less fortunate.
Because it's only now we continue to get to hear of things that he did, because he was always there, always writing some plan, but we never knew what he was doing. But he was all about reaching out to the community. So when we were hit with the COVID pandemic and students had to go back home and do online classes, we thought that it would have been a good gesture to provide devices to students who didn't have. But when I heard that the government indicated that every child was going to be getting a gift of a device, I decided to pull the proposal away from the foundation so that we don't duplicate the efforts of what had already started.
Member of Rise St. Lucia, Yana Casimir, explained that the organization has put numerous measures in place to ensure that students who need the devices the most receive them.
We do have a very rigid process. We do accept names from persons, students, parents, teachers. But what we do behind the scenes is that before we distribute any device to any student, we go through the schools. We ensure that the names that we receive from parents are legit. The principals do the vetting for us, and they verify whether or not those students have received devices from other organizations, because we are aware that there are multiple organizations out there doing similar as we are doing at Rise. And we also know that the Ministry of Education is also providing students with devices. So we want you to be assured that we are doing everything on our part to ensure that those devices are being received by students who absolutely need it.
Jean says the foundation is willing to help as much as they possibly can. She says the foundation had other plans to provide devices on their own, but decided that a collaboration with a group which had already taken up that mantle would be best.
And so if we have to reach out, we will in whatever way that we can to assist students, because we know that this is one of Botham's objectives and we're just continuing his legacy. We found that the CEL actually offered a very attractive price for the device, and therefore we decided to go with the CEL and to support local business and at the same time support our kids.
A total of 97 devices were donated on Monday morning. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
St. Lucia will join the rest of the world in commemorating International Women's Day on the 8th of March. The observance began on Friday, the 26th of February, with the Gender Relations Ministry giving assurance to St. Lucian women and girls that the country stands ready to respect, protect, and fulfill their rights to live free of violence. The ministry unveiled a package of essential services for women and girls who are subject to violence in St. Lucia. The Essential Services package was developed with technical assistance from the United Nations Population Fund.
Here at UNFPA, we are committed to supporting St. Lucia to end all forms of gender-based violence and harmful practices by 2030, in line with its priorities and the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. We will continue to work with the government, civil society partners, and donor agencies to ensure that women and girls who are survivors of violence have access to the required services for their immediate, medium, and long-term recovery, including in emergencies. This includes access to comprehensive sexual and reproductive health care that is their human right. Denial of this right can have dire consequences.
COVID-19 has exacerbated the vulnerabilities of women and girls to violence due to lockdown measures and forced consignment with perpetrators. The minister responsible for gender relations, Dr. Gail Rigobert, says the Essential Services page is intended to provide a comprehensive framework for the coordination and delivery of quality services in the health, police, justice, and social sectors to survivors of gender-based violence.
The necessary partial and complete lockdowns meant women had less access to services and were at the mercy of their abusers. St. Lucia witnessed an increase in the severity of violence committed against women, and some agencies, particularly non-governmental agencies, reported increases in incidents. Very interestingly, crisis lines were inundated with calls for financial and material support, and these calls, in a sense, replaced the crisis calls. This matter is being looked at closely so as to understand what this really meant. One thing was for certain, though: women's economic autonomy took a blow, making them more vulnerable to abuse.
The launch of the Essential Services package is the first in a series of activities planned for this year's International Women's Day observance, to be held under the theme Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. Following a string of burglaries at various businesses, National Security Minister Hermangild Francis is appealing to business owners to ensure that their organizations are secure. Minister Francis says whether it be with CCTV or with physical security guards, businesses need to find a way to ensure that they are not open and vulnerable to burglars.
I think it has something to do with it, and persons are taking the chances now to do that. Secondly, you now have to mask up. Again, criminals are trying to be very creative, so they know that you can wear the mask to go to certain places. They put the cap way down and they enter. That's a disguise. There are some business persons who are smart enough to make sure that before you enter, so if you go to the Bank of St. Lucia on the waterfront, you would have to take out the bars, bring it down, the camera takes a picture, then you bring it back up. And so there are ways and means of trying to assist in these times. It's not ordinary times. So we have to be able to think ahead, one step ahead of these criminals, because they are going to use every opportunity to benefit.
Minister Francis says given that thieves have become a lot more innovative, the onus is on business people to become just as creative to ensure they secure their businesses. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. The latest weather report is coming up after the